Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a zombie thriller film, The Returned. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. A few years ago, a zombie plague spread. The infected people are called the Returned, who require a daily dose of injection to prevent them from turning into zombies. When they miss a single dose, they will immediately turn into a state of feral zombie, so they are discriminated against by some fearful uninfected people. The movie begins with a couple, a doctor named Kate, showing her husband Alex an image of her dream house. Then, Alex reminds her about having his best friend come over, whom he will disclose about his being returned. The following day, Kate drives to work and passes by some protesters outside the hospital. As she arrives, she heads directly to the returned unit to check up on the patients. Then, she happily tells the infected boy a secret that he will already be discharged. After that, Kate talks with the infected boy's parents and explains that as a returned, he has to be injected daily for the rest of his life. The mother is upset about his son's fate, knowing that missing just one dose can turn him into a zombie. Kate tries to calm her by saying that being a returned is not a curse, but privilege. However, the mother is still upset, and the father asks the truth about the lack of stocks of injections. Kate lies about it, telling him that it is just a rumor. Meanwhile, Alex drives home after working as a music teacher. As he sees some graffiti saying "Death to the Returned," it saddens him. Kate also ends her shift. As she passes by the lobby, she sees the protesters are still outside. She walks straight to the hospital pharmacy and waits until the doctors get out to do her under-the-table transaction. Moments later, she illicitly hands the money to the pharmacist in exchange for some supplies of doses for her husband Alex. After that, Kate arrives home, where Alex is preparing their food for dinner. She tells him she got more doses and stores them in the freezer. Moments later, they are having dinner with Alex's friend Jacob and his wife. Jacob's wife tells them about her book, which is related to the situation of a returned person. This somehow worries them. But then, Alex starts to unfold what happened 6 years ago when he got bitten by an infected guitar seller after he tried to help him, as he thought that the man was having a seizure. While telling the story, Kate is feeling uneasy about how they might react. After hearing about Jacob's experience and that he is a returned, Jacob and his wife seem worried and unsettled. The following day, Alex goes to the military clinic for the returned to get some doses of injection. When he gets back in his car, some young boys suddenly shoot his car. He quickly chases them, and as he catches one of them, the boy fearfully tells him that it's because they want to be normal. Alex lets him go, since he knows that discrimination against the returned people is rampant. Meanwhile, Kate is talking at the fundraising conference about the zombie plague and the possible cure for the infected people or the returned. She urges them to fund the research for a synthetic injection. Suddenly, someone interrupts her, saying that the returned are like time bombs and they should isolate them in another community. It upsets her, so she differs and argues for a need to continue researching for a cure. After that, the hospital chief is satisfied with her counter-argument and encourages her. Meanwhile, Alex arrives home from the clinic and sees Kate's note that she has a night shift, so he puts the doses of the injection in the refrigerator and injects one into his leg. In the hospital, the nurse enters Kate's office. Seconds later, they hear someone knock. As Kate opens the door, the armed men enter, holding the guard they shot. The man points the gun at them, while the other man takes Kate's ID and leaves. While the man still points the gun at Kate, he threatens her to admit that the returned are zombies, but she persistently refuses. Luckily, moments later, the other men urge them to take off, so the man leaves Kate and the nurse unharmed. Right after that, Kate and the nurse head to the returned unit. Unfortunately, all their patients were shot dead. The police tell them that they will investigate and look for the culprit. Kate goes home disheartened. She then sits down and cries beside her husband, who wakes up immediately and comforts her with his muscles. The following day, Kate and Alex watch the news, where the hosts are talking about what happened in the hospital and the experience of the returned. The host talks about the infamous returned, who stopped taking his daily dose and attacked 5 people, saying that after 24 hours of no treatment, they must all be killed. Kate gets infuriated. After that, Kate goes to the hospital. She convinces the hospital chief to allow her to have a 1-month break. The chief tries to reject her because she is the best doctor they need. But later, he grants her request, as long as she will still do the fundraising conferences. The following day, while Kate and Alex are enjoying their company on the bed, Kate receives a message from the pharmacist, where she secretly gets their doses. Later, before Kate leaves the building, a man asks her for direction, and after responding to him, she leaves. Moments later, Kate arrives at the pharmacist's apartment. She hands her the money, and the pharmacist gives her the doses. Kate tries to ask for more, telling her that she's willing to pay whatever the cost if she can give her more stocks. Unfortunately, the pharmacist reveals that there's only a month's worth of stock in the lab, and even the hospital hasn't received their stocks too. Kate is worried, so she persistently asks her to get more supplies, to which the pharmacist agrees and tells her she will try, but it will be costly. Kate agrees. As she leaves, the pharmacist asks if she is a returned. Kate nods, lying about it. While inside the car, the pharmacist suddenly shows up to tell her that the armed men took the files containing the info of the returned, such as their address, so she reminds her to take care. Meanwhile, just as Alex exits the music building, his friend Jacob surprises him. He invites Alex to have a drink. They have a talk, and Jacob hugs and comforts him with his manly muscles. Alex feels weird, but Jacob says it's because he was not able to hug him when he confessed about being returned. After that, Alex drives home. Moments later, Kate arrives. She's shocked to see Alex on the floor, fighting to get the gun from the man who asked for directions earlier. Just then, Alex shoots the man and tells her that the man pretended to be looking for something and attempted to kill him. Immediately, Kate orders him to hide the gun. They clean the mess and put the man's body in a suitcase. Then they drive to the restricted area and dump the body. Subsequently, Alex and Kate prepare to flee. They are packing up while listening to the news, showing that several supply centers have been set on fire by anti-returned groups. Suddenly, Jacob and his wife come, and Alex tells them that they will stay in the motel for their safety. As protesters are becoming more violent, Jacob and his wife try to offer their house for them to stay, but Alex refuses. That night, Alex and Kate stay in the motel. The following day, while Alex and Kate are eating in a restaurant, Jacob and his wife come. They inform them about the worsening situation for the returned, in which the government or the military is implementing a stricter rule by setting up quarantine camps. With that, Jacob and his wife are able to convince them to stay in their house. Later that day, they arrive at Jacob's place, and they hang out together until the evening. In the morning, as Jacob reads the newspaper, he finds bad news and immediately informs Alex. It says that the military will forcefully raid houses, which worries and upsets them. Alex then argues that they need the gun for self-defense, but Kate disagrees. Later on, Alex and Kate go to their apartment to get the gun. Suddenly, as Kate opens the door, she's surprised by the two detectives. They present their search warrant as they are tracing the returned, and Alex is one of them. Kate feels anxious. She then deceives them and declares that Alex has not been around for some weeks. As the detectives enter their apartment, Kate is perturbed that they will find him, so she nervously accompanies them inside, while Alex hides in a closet. Then, to divert one of the detectives' attention from the closet, she immediately exclaims that she shot her infected husband. She knows that killing the returned people has been reasonable in the name of one's safety. The detectives believe her, but they ask her to show them the body. Then, she accompanies them to the restricted place, where they dump the man killed by Alex. In the restricted area, they find the body. Although it's human identifiable, they confirm that it is a male with a shot in the head, which matches her alibi, so they let her go home. After that, the detective, who drives Kate home, states that the news later will declare that the synthetic cure is not working, so things will be complicated with the stocks running low. It leaves her even more worried. Meanwhile, Alex talks with Jacob, telling him that Kate will coordinate with the pharmacist to get more supplies of doses. Then they will go far away. Jacob is a little worried. He tells him they do not need to leave. Alex appreciates him for being concerned. Jacob and his wife watch the news later and are a little bothered as it tells that there are not enough supplies, and the laboratory and the government are still looking for a solution. In the morning, Kay is about to leave, but her car key is missing. Surprisingly, Jacob is already having his coffee and tells her that he finds the key on the sofa. Before she leaves, Jacob compliments her for being calm despite the situation. Moments later, Kate arrives at the pharmacist's apartment, which is surprisingly unlocked. So she enters and calls her name, but no one's responding. As she's about to open the fridge, she shockingly finds the pharmacist lying on the floor. Then she notices a fake nail from the pharmacist's hand. It gives her an idea of who the culprit is, as she recognizes the nail. She immediately calls Alex and asks to check the injections. Alex checks the bedroom. Surprisingly, the case of doses is gone, but he finds one dose and a note. Apparently, his friend Jacob betrayed them. Meanwhile, Jacob and his wife are in the hotel. He gets a dose in the case and rejects the call from Alex. He heads to the bathroom and injects it into his wife. While Kate and Alex comfort themselves, Kate tells him another way to get some doses. The next morning, Kate leaves to meet the hospital chief. Later, while Alex is anxious, his phone rings. He answers and is extremely frustrated with his friend, but Jacob tells him to listen. Jacob explains that he called him secretly just to apologize and tell him that he needs to steal the doses for the sake of his wife. Alex desperately asks to give him just a few, but Jacob refuses as he values his wife's life and his happiness more than anything. He hangs up, which leaves Alex infuriated. As Kate drives to the hospital, she passes by some protesters, including the infected young boy and his parents. The boy's father catches sight of her, so he immediately follows her. Meanwhile, Alex is in the hardware shop, looking for some stuff he will use to prepare himself once he turns into a zombie. He sets up his music room and chains himself to the wall while waiting for Kate. Kate arrives at the hospital and meets the hospital chief, who's explaining the progress of the ongoing research for the cure. The chief is a little upset that Kate did not tell him about having been involved with the Returned. As Kate plans to ask for injections from the military hospital, the chief feels worried that she will get arrested for it. So he accompanies her to the secret storage, where they store the reserved doses. Subsequently, the hospital chief shows her the last case of doses they kept. Kate gratefully hugs him, and then she leaves. Afterward, she excitedly informed her husband that she successfully got the doses. Alex feels delighted, so Kate tells him that she will come home in a bit. Meanwhile, the infected boy's father awaits her in the parking area, and he overhears their conversation as he hides. So as soon as Kate gets in the car and puts the case in the passenger seat, the boy's father breaks the window, steals the case, and then runs quickly. Kate immediately starts the car and chases him. Shockingly, she runs over him, which causes his death. She checks the case, but all the doses are destroyed. Kate leaves, feeling devastated. After that, Kate embraces and comforts Alex, who has chained himself to the wall. They cherish the moment as Alex gradually feels weak. They are distressed, and with no supplies of doses left, Alex asks Kate to promise to shoot him before things get out of hand. Later, Kate stands by the glass window and cries as she remembers her traumatic experience in the past when her mother got infected too. She was also asked to shoot her mother, but she left instead. Alex plays his guitar, and they cry in sorrow, knowing that sooner Alex will turn into a zombie. Just then, Alex suddenly shows some symptoms. He vomits blood. So he picks up the gun and asks Kate to shoot him. She cries as she's reluctant, but after a few seconds, Kate shoots him off screen. Subsequently, Kate leaves that building and walks to get her car, when suddenly, the hospital chief energetically approaches her without knowing her devastation. He hugs her, and after that, he asks if she has heard about the news. Kate is clueless and worried at the same time, so the chief gladly informs her that the researchers and the government have successfully created the synthetic injection. Ironically, the good news breaks her. To her dismay, she falls to her knees and cries, knowing that Alex could have been saved. Meanwhile, Jacob looks at the sky as his wife embraces him. He does not seem happy despite the news. A few months later, it shows a pregnant Kate who has moved into the dream house where she would have lived with her husband. The final scene implies that she has been preparing to get revenge and assassinate the traitor couple, Jacob and his wife. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.